Did David Grusch see evidence that a alien mothership commanded a Tic Tac UFO? This is crazy, but there's good reason to believe that it's actually true. So let's talk about it. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, this news is brought to us by Clint Ehrlich, who is an attorney, computer scientist, and a former principal investigator for the National Science Foundation. He has been featured on Dateline NBC, Washington Post, Fox News, and Popular Mechanics. So, you know, he knows a thing or two, right? So let's just go into his tweet thread here. Boom! David Grusch may have seen proof of an ET mothership commanding a Tic Tac UFO. It's spelled out in declassified documents. In 2021, it appears that Mr. Grusch was the acting chief of operations center for the National Reconnaissance Office, NRO. He led a team of 30 and was responsible for the president's daily brief. I like that. David Grusch was a leader of men. Any intel at NRO went through Mr. Grusch. And Ehrlich has got all the documents and everything to prove what he's saying. It's really interesting. Senior leadership team for a 24-center watch center, all that kind of good stuff. It's important to understand that NRO was the largest budget, or has the largest budget, of any intelligence agency. I did not know that. I thought the NSA had a bigger budget than anybody else, but it's actually the NRO, according to Clint Ehrlich. And if I'm mispronouncing that name, I apologize. But he says the NRO has more resources than the NSA, more even than the CIA. As the agency that creates and controls U.S. spy satellites and other top secret sensor platforms. One of the programs the NRO has been developing is Sentient. It works sort of like the precogs from Minority Report. They predicted crime before it happened. Sentient predicts where surveillance targets will appear so it can have a satellite watching in advance. That's crazy. How does that even work? If you know how that works, let me know. Clint says, we know about Sentient and how it works from declassified NRO briefings. They indicate that Sentient uses machine learning to integrate data from numerous platforms. Okay, all right, there you go. It can perform 3D processing of moving targets, including UAVs, missiles, and weapons of mass destruction. And here's more information about it. The Sentient 4 core functions are data ingest and processing. Sentient substantially improves the intelligence value of the NR constellation by, and it gives reasons, Sentient will enable deeper intelligence understanding by involving analysts throughout the cycle, allowing analysts to focus on reasoning and situational understanding instead of data search and correlation. All right, and there you go. He's got all the documents. What else can Sentient identify? U.A.Ps, otherwise known as UFOs. It has an entire machine learning model devoted to spotting them. It just has to be turned on. Okay, well, you turn it on. In May 6, 2021, Sentient detected a UAP over an unidentified ocean. It did not match the visual signature of a normal aircraft. It was less than 30 feet long. It looked like the Tic Tac. Okay. Here we go. Here's some stats. The object did, however, vaguely resemble similar detections of airborne objects by U.S. Navy aircraft and surface vessels in the blank operating areas. There is a rough similarity to the previously reported Tic Tac shape. The object was likely not a sensor artifact or focal plane anomaly. Sentient detections did, however, detect the presence of the prob redacted in the same imagery 25 kilometers to the west. In recent reporting, the redacted has been associated with command and control activities, as well as more traditional telemetry and space functions. The simultaneous presence of this high-interest vessel is notable, although possible merely coincidental. Confidence is relatively low in this detection, but the potential linkage to similar phenomena off of blank may warrant further investigation. So confidence is low. I'm not sure if I like the sound of that, but moving on. Clint says, we know from internal NRO documents that this Tic Tac was not likely a sensor artifact. Yes, we went through that. It appeared in multiple satellite images, not just merely one capture. So, okay, so my confidence is rising. Very good, very good. Here's where things get really interesting. During the original Tic Tac sighting near the Nimitz in 2004, F-18 pilots observed a 747-sized disturbance just beneath the water. And it's my understanding that's how they noticed the Tic Tac in the first place, was they saw this thing in the water, and it drew their attention toward it, and then there was the Tic Tac above it. The Tic Tac was moving in the vicinity of that larger, unidentified object. It's been long speculated that the larger object may have been controlling the Tic Tac. Okay, so that's the mothership that we're talking about, is this thing in the water. In this interpretation, the larger object was a sort of command and control vessel. Is there anything from Sentient to corroborate that theory? Yes. And in this artist's depiction, they are depicting that thing in the water as a flying saucer-shaped disc. NRO documented that the Tic Tac was accompanied by another object 20 kilometers to the west. Well, as we know from Kevin Day, there were potentially up to 100 of these objects over the course of a week, coming and going from space to sea level. He says it was raining UFOs, basically. It's not surprising that there would be another object in that same vicinity. He said, Clint says the description of the object is redacted. However, the NRO concluded that it was a high-interest vessel whose simultaneous presence was notable. There are two ways to interpret this reference to a vessel. It's either a human ship operated by a foreign navy or a non-human intelligence U.A.P. operating in the area of the Tic Tac. I believe the evidence favors the second interpretation. First, in order to analyze the vessel, the NRO resorts to recent reporting, i.e. recent satellite imagery and analysis. This means they don't understand exactly what it is. They're inferring its characteristics from sensors alone, with details redacted. Second, the capabilities described do not sound like a human vessel. It is a vessel that traditionally has had space functions. More recently, it's been associated with command and control activities. If this is a human vessel, why don't they know what it is? And what ships is it exercising command and control over? The NRO reports don't mention any other ships in the area. The only obvious candidate for what is being controlled is the Tic Tac U.A.P. itself. These captures by Sentient may be part of the smoking gun U.A.P. evidence we've been hearing so much about. They sound consistent with the description provided by former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Chris Mellon. Okay, well, let's see what Chris has to say.
I've seen some pretty compelling photographic evidence.
And I've seen some very compelling evidence that I very much wish was in the public domain. When I'm talking to the scientists at the Galileo Project, for example, and at the Scientific Coalition for U.A.P. studies, I so wish that they were privy to this information, that the public was privy to this information.
What happened when you looked at those photographs? Put me there.
Well, it's like...
I want to be you for a minute.
It's like, wow, I can't think of any way to explain this other than, this is not something in our inventory, I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure you're right, Chris. At the time of this incident in May 2021, David Grusch was one of the NRO's senior leaders. It says this incident in 2021. Okay, so not the Nimitz Tic Tac. He would have been intimately involved in analyzing the data. Congress must ask him about Sentient, the Tic Tac, and the Mystery C2 vessel. Redacted copies of the declassified NRO presentations are available at the Black Vault. Thank you to John Greenwald. Yeah, I give John grief sometimes, but he is great at getting those documents and is definitely a value to the community, as galling as he can be when he comes out against Lou Elizondo and stuff. So just a really amazing thread here by Clint Ehrlich. I hope I'm saying that name somewhat correctly, with a lot of information and proof of this sentient capability of analyzing UFO activity and determining that in this one particular case, a Tic Tac seems to have been commanded by an underwater UFO that may or may not have been disc-shaped. I think that is very fascinating. Of course, it makes perfect sense that these little drone-like craft would be commanded by another craft, but again, we don't really have a lot of knowledge about how these things work. I'm going to be talking soon about a remote viewing done on the Nimitz Tic Tac, which I find very fascinating and very compelling, and it puts a whole new light on all of this. But anyway, really juicy stuff. I love it. Apparently, the U.S. government has some really fancy technology that they are not telling the American people about, and they are using this to analyze, as they should, UFO activity. I love it, but I don't love the cover-up. So let me know what you think about all of this. Was the Tic Tac in the Nimitz incident and in other incidents, are they being remotely controlled by a larger ship, a mothership? Is that what's going on? And if that mothership was in the water, does that mean that the non-human intelligence responsible for the Tic Tac is coming from underwater? Or is it simply hanging out in the water or going through the water to subterranean caverns in the hollow earth? Or is it just, they're space beings and they come here, and when they do come here, they go to their places in the sea or under the ground, and they're just kind of doing their thing in that way. I don't know how it works. Let me know how you think it works in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Sure would appreciate it. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. If you wanted to support the channel in a bigger way, just consider becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I love you guys. So, yeah, there's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel. I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road signing out.